Can't Look Back is another, what I'd consider a very radio-friendly song. A good rock song, but a real good radio. I mean, do you ever say, here's a couple of songs that I think would actually work on what's left of the radio? Or,
well, you know, I mean...
And the ballads as well, for that matter?
Well, thanks, but, you know, does radio play music from a guy after, you know, after a certain age group? But you know what? It's getting radio play in Germany, which is like, I'm going, wow, that's cool. I mean,
I think you've answered your own question, because they do play AOR by artists of a certain age.
But I mean, it's kind of come back, as classic rock is quite popular these days,
yeah,
you know, and
yeah.
like, you know, I guess I'm part of that. I'm honored to be part of that group in some sort of small way. You know, that tune was just one of the first songs that CJ and I wrote, which is kind of me. It's keyboards meets a ZZ Top kind of a thing in the chorus. Phil Collins from Def Leppard sang some backgrounds with me on that. You know, he's a bud. And that's a very accessible song, but that's also a song about me moving forward in my life and not forgiving my past, because I used to be a crazy, you know, we have fallen down the stairs.
Sometimes,
you know, that was another era. You know, you get to a certain age where it's funny when you're 25, but it's sad when you're 50. You know what I mean?
You got it, yeah. You also, we talked about Germany there. I mean, thinking back to Toto, you've expressed your disenchantment with the fact that Toto's audience kind of disappeared in the States, but stayed very, very stable in mainland Europe and other territories. Why is that disparity, what do you think?
You know, I think America's just a fast food nation, mentally, physically. I mean, it's just like, they never really got it. Plus, we were held hostage by our Sony records in America. They wouldn't release our records, but they wouldn't release us from our contracts. So for 10 years, we had no product out. People thought we just died. But in Europe, our records would come out and we could tour, and we kept it alive. So
unbelievable.
And you know, also, European people have a tendency to be, if they like you, they stick with you.
Yeah.
And Asian, you know, they actually everywhere but America. Yeah. It was still, you know, I still have a pretty good.
Like that. Yeah.
But you know, the thing is about Britain. Now we were always a whipping post for the critics and whatnot, but the people that liked us would still come.
Yeah.
They still come to the shows. They still dig us. You know, we weren't mainstream press stuff. You know. But that's okay. If they're, you know, here I am. I'm still sitting here all these years later, decades later.
For sure. So, given the fact that you've called your albums like snapshots of a particular time, what would you say this current album was a snapshot of, other than the things you've talked about?
It's
just where you are
me
now.
Living. It's 35 years in the business, living life, having children, losing my parents. I mean, just, you know, going through being Mr. Party to like kind of cleaning up and kind of really caring, looking around at the world, going, wow, what's really going on here? You know, how many more great years do I have left? And I want to make the most of that.
But you still nailed it down in the sessions. That's the amazing thing.
Well, you know, I did all that. I mean, there's no real session scene anymore. It's kind of...
No, back then I'm talking about.
Oh, back then it was really good fun. Every day you didn't know who you were working with, and you were always working with amazing musicians and artists.
And you mentioned Boz Scaggs, Elton John, people like this. That who else stands out? Michael Jackson, I know everybody knows about that, but what was your input into that, by the way? Did they let you do
Oh, well, that's the thing. The thing that people don't understand about Thriller, I mean, we were a big part of that record. I mean, like, you know, Human Nature was Toto with Michael Jackson singing.
And your relationship with Quincy Jones.
Yeah, and I had done a lot of work with Quincy. You know, I mean, we worked on Beat It. I did all the riff parts, the bass parts, all the rhythm guitar parts. Jeff McCarroll played drums. Michael sang, and Eddie did a solo. So on the Paul McCartney duet, that was basically, you know, mostly the Toto guys on that. But they never mentioned the Toto word whenever they. The press doesn't like this. Like, oh yeah, right, some of those guys, but we don't want to talk about them. You know,
do you think people sort of look down on Toto slightly because you all came from a session background and everything was perfect?
Well, that's another myth. We were a high school band
originally. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we just happened to do sessions because we were school musicians, and we could go do that.
But you became top session players as you were in the band.
But that was sort of accidental, you know. I mean, I really was enamored by that. I mean, I can't think of another rock band in history that has the pedigree that we have, you know, and it's contributed to thousands of records. Most bands and most artists that are considered, oh wow, these guys are geniuses, they do their records and maybe guest on somebody's record. We've done thousands of records for every major star of the last 40 years, and yet no one mentions our name.
They certainly mention you, though.
Well, sometimes. I mean, maybe as time goes on,
they look to the people that
the press has been a little kinder. You know what I mean? Yeah. But there was a time when they just beat the hell out of us. You know?
But then it did beat the hell out of a lot of people because, of course, rock became very sort of unfashionable. And that's something you can't.
Fashion was really never my motivation to learn how to be a musician. You know, I was.
No, and I'm going to throw you the quote that you came out with. Anybody can be a rock star, but it takes decades to be a musician.
Well, you have to spend 20,000 hours learning how to play.
But is that,
a lot of people skip right over that now because you have computers.
That's what I was going to ask you.
It's image. They take the image and then they make you a star.
Yeah.
I mean, back when I started out, you had to learn how to play rhythm guitar before you learned how to play lead guitar. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You would take the steps like this. People want to start here and go right to here and leave out all this. And so you have short careers.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you can get lucky and write one or two maybe catchy songs, but is that going to... How many people have been around for almost 35 years?
Yeah.
Not very many of us left.
Yeah. And they looked after themselves, that's why they're all here.
Well, some did, some didn't. Some weren't so lucky. You know?
Of course, Jimmy's no longer with us, Jimi Hendrix, but you played, which leads me on asking you about when you played Little Wing for Les Paul. That must have been a fantastic
that was a great honor for me. There's a guy you want to be like.
Motivated.
God bless his soul, man. He was 91 years old and he was still playing the guitar, having a laugh, and flirting with girls and enjoying his life. You know what I mean? Yeah, physically you get a little beat down at 91, but he lived a life, man. I mean, we all want to grow up to be Les Paul someday.
Yeah.
If we're lucky to live that long, jeez, and still be viable, not like in a chair, like all sick or something like that. You know?
And another aspect of your career, of course, is the fact you immersed yourself in the jam scene quite a bit, and still do, I think.
Yeah, I'd love to get into the real American jam scene with Warren Haynes and Dave Matthews and all that, because I've met all these guys and I'm a fan. I mean, I just like that. I like it because those guys really play.
Yeah.
And and it's not image, it's substance. It's the opposite of that pop star American Idol or whatever you call it here, pop idol or where they take somebody out of a cheese shop and they turn them into a star overnight, and they paid no dues and they are overwhelmed by it, and it's all cookie cutter that somebody else is here. Do this song, do it like this, look like this, and then all of a sudden instant stardom, and they don't even know what to do with themselves. They weren't struggling in the clubs, learning how to get it together to pay the dues to get the fame.
So your project, Los Lobotomy and El Grupo and things like that?
Those are just fun little jam band things.
But they're a musical escape for you, presumably, because they're...
Well, there's a little club down, I live in the Hollywood Hills, and down at the bottom of the hill, there's a club called the Baked Potato.
Yeah,
which is where we...
Simon Phillips was telling me about.
Yeah, it's a jam place. You go in there, have a drink, hang out, and you see your friends, and weird combinations of people get up and jam. And
so who calls the songs?
They're just sketches, and you have a sketch, and then whatever happens in the middle happens. Improvisation at its finest.
And you got little moments in time, little pockets of time to do that in between touring with Toto as you were. And
well, it used to be my local, my local bar, but since I don't drink anymore, I still go down and listen to people play. I'm not like some AA like militant. If people want to party, hey, I'll buy you drinks and drive you home, man. But for me, I just made a conscious health choice because of some other personal issues.
Sure. And one of the other things you did, of course, was to hook up with Larry Carlton, which guitar fans out there just thought was absolutely... we all did, but guitar fans absolutely salivated over that.
That was good fun, man. We won a Grammy, too, for that.
I was about to say that. But wasn't that ever going to be a longer-term thing? Was that just really a one-off situation?
Man, that's kind of weird, because I ran into Larry there was a 40th anniversary of the Baked Potato, and there was a big concert. And I played with Steve Weingart, my keyboard player now, and Tal Wilkenfeld and Vinny Caliuta. So the four of us played, and Larry was there, and we didn't play together. It was it was weird. It's like I go, hey, maybe we should do something again. He's like, yeah, we should do that. But he lives in Nashville, I live in LA. We're both busy. Schedules colliding. Yeah. But we had that. I knew him when I was a kid, when I was 17, 18 years old, and he was one of my heroes. And he was very kind to me. And then he called me up once 10 years ago. He goes, "You want to go to Japan and play?" And I went, "Yeah, that'd be great." And we had never really done it, and it clicked. And for 2 years, we played together all the time.
And then 2 years. Right.
And then boom. Wow. And then I haven't really seen much of him.
And then
maybe someday we'll do it again. It would be fun. I love Larry. One of my all-time big influences and heroes.
And you also did some touring with Edgar Winter.
That was 10 years ago. We did one off. Edgar, I grew up listening to Edgar and Johnny Winter. That was just somebody put us together and thought that would be a cool idea, and we went out and did a quick little run. Good fun. Somebody said there was a DVD. I've never seen it, so
really?
I don't know if it's any good or not. I hope it's okay.
Oh no, I'd love to see that. But getting back
I think
to
it was at the North Sea Jazz Festival.
Oh, that's a good place to
2000 or something.
that's a good place to be filmed. And just going back to your solo careers, your solo albums, Candyman. Let's talk a bit more about that. A lot of people really like that album, but everybody was confused about what it really was, whether it was your solo album or the lobotomy kind of
It was
thing.
both.
Yeah.
I mean, I had the record deal, so at first it was me, you know. But then we went on the road, and it became Los Lobotomies. And I think they put it out in the United States as Los Lobotomies.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
Okay, and out of all your solo stuff, looking back on what you did, what do you think about each individual album? Do you think it's a progression?
Well, I mean, they're all just like snapshots in time where I happen to be at. Like at the time, they were side projects, you know, in between Toto gigs or tours and albums. Because I like to keep working. I'm just one of those kind of guys that keeps the ball rolling. Always trying to better myself as a musician and stretch out. But now it's not a side project; it's my life. But each one of those records was consciously different. So I said, well, why repeat myself? You know, try to different musicians, different combinations of people, and different. I was influenced by what was going on around me, and just trying to push the limitations as a songwriter, producer, and musician. Some of it was more fusoid shit, and some of it was more, well, I want this to be darker and more song-oriented or whatever, you know.
And the last track on the current album is a kind of a fusiony instrumental thing.
That was written in the studio by me and the boys. Yeah, I wanted to have a group song, and you know, every one of my records, I do have people out there like my music that like to hear that side. So I thought, let's write something like that, and the guys in the band get some songwriting on the record and stuff like that. So.
But I think that's one of the strengths of the new record is the fact that all your elements are in there and they're coherent. That's a really strong thing.
I tried to like not some and some of the criticisms in the past, and they've been very warranted. Were like it's too diverse. Like I'd have this kind of a song, and that kind of a song, this kind of song, these different players all on the same record.
Yeah.
This time I said, you know, I'm going to try to keep some. It could be a little bit off, but keep somewhat on the same track.
So are you going to be playing most of that album when you go out live, or?
I'm going to play some of it. Yeah. Obviously, I'm promoting the new record. And
it's
going to be fun to play some of these songs live. But I have 8 or 9 records to choose from. You know,
sure.
So I'm going to be doing bits and pieces off all of them.
Yeah.
A couple surprises here and there, you know.
Should be good. And what's your London date?
What's it called? Islington or Islington?
Academy, Islington, yeah.
Yeah, Islington.
That's coming up soon. So
that's coming in November.
Oh, November. So we need to look out for that.
Yeah, come on out.
And the other question I've got to ask you that everybody asks me to ask is, you're the man, you're the guitar player. Are there still anybody that influences you? Anybody you still get excited about?
Yeah, I mean, sure.
Or anybody you listen to generally?
I mean, of the younger crop?
Right across the board.
Well, I mean, I think the world of Joe Bonamassa. I mean, he's like one of my favorites. We're on the same level, but we're friends too, you know. And I just think the world of him.
Great player, yeah.
And you know, he's one of my favorites of the young crop. But there's some great young metal players too.
They always were.
You know, I mean, those guys are really holding the torch for the technical aspect of things. But I like all kinds of. I love the guys in Radiohead, man. They're not technical at all. They make wonderful noises, man. You know, I just think they're a fantastic band. You know,
no, it's great.
Very creative. I like Phoenix. I like Arcade Fire.
I love that.
You know, I mean, so I got an open mind. I'm not some old stiff. You know, my older kids turn me on to a lot of the cool stuff that's going on.
Yeah.
I try to keep up on it. But it's hard because I'm busy all the time, traveling, working, doing my own thing. Sometimes I don't listen to music at all. Sometimes I watch cartoons. I watch cartoons or I listen to the air.
Gotta have a break.
You know, I gotta get away from it. I mean, if you're a mechanic, you don't go home and work on your car, you know?
That's for sure. Well, All's Well That Ends Well is the name of the album. It's his best album, trust me. It's fantastic. Check it out. What's the label?
Mascot.
Mascot Records, based in Holland, but you can get it over here.
It's worldwide release.
This is Pete Feenstra talking to Steve Lukather with Prakash on the camera. Good afternoon.
Thanks, mate.